Man, welcome back. Can you believe it rather? It is 2025. Wow. 2024 just went out the window. But you know what did? The Pull Up Podcast Show. Welcome to the Pull Up Podcast Show. And of course, it's me back for a brand new year. It's the one and only Coach Tony. And hey, we are going to have some fun this year. We got a lot of guests, a lot of beautiful guests coming up, including the one I got for you tonight. It's been great. I'm hoping everyone had a beautiful Christmas. Hope everybody had a wonderful, happy New Year. Everyone was safe, got an opportunity to see family and friends. And I'm giving you nothing but blessings for the 2025 year. But saying that, let's get started with the show. My guest this time is coming to you. We're going to talk about women's basketball, sports, mentorship, leadership. We're going to talk about all that. But before we do that, you know my cue. Val, drop it.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. Bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show. I said bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast.
Man, welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast Show, where we give you quarter by quarter of sports information. And tonight's guest is going to do exactly that. Hailing from the great state of South Carolina, Summerville to be exact, high school, by way of Furman University, where she was a 4-time MVP player. She was Player of the Year of the conference, of the Southern Conference. Then she got an opportunity to do more than that, everybody. She turned professional. Got a chance to go across the pond. Yeah, I mean, way across the pond, like Europe, Italy, France. Then came back when the W started up, and she's one of the integral persons who got a chance to be in the inaugural season of the WNBA. So without further ado, my friend, Coach Brown, let's bring this show, Miss Rushia Brown. Welcome to the show.
What's up, Tony? How are you, Coach?
Man, good evening. How you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for being patient with me. I've been trying to get to you, but life is crazy. We talked about it, but I thank you so much for.
Hey, I know how things go, and I always try to tell my audience and tell people, it's persistence and talking. But with you, and you like my girl, what as we started, so a lot of people don't know, me and Rushia, we got connected way back when this little bitty brand was trying to start out of Atlanta, Georgia, by the name of Infinity. And they were a volleyball brand trying to branch off into basketball. And she and I crossed paths and been connected ever since then. And it's been absolutely wonderful. I mean, 14 years went by quick.
Wow. It's been that long, huh?
Yeah, 2010.
Wow, that's crazy. But I thank you for then and being receptive of what we were trying to do, trying to build out that brand and them first taking on, girls basketball when they were just primarily volleyball and cheer. I had to get a little hoop in them. And, so I was a part of that. So thank you for being receptive and helping me spread the word.
Man, let me tell you something. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have had an opportunity to get my girls at that time a pair of them shoes with the bows on.
Yeah, for sure. And we were able to get Ivory Lotta. That was the year we got the Ivory Lottas. They were called the illest.
The illest, exactly right. And that was my cheer. We would go 1, 2, 3, the illest.
I love it. No, that was
that is
an
great.
Amazing time. And I was so excited to be able to do that for my girl. That's my mentee, little sis, Ivory Lotta. Love it.
And the funny part about it is that you just continue to stay in that lane. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Let's kind of give the audience a little bit about your background coming from South Kakalaka down to Summerville and all that, playing in high school. Did you have like your brother, sister, family, dad, mom? Who was the sports person in the family that introduced you to basketball? Or did you just kind of pick it up?
It's ironic because, my father was a huge basketball fan, but I never saw him play or anybody. And I didn't even have any interest in sports until my father passed away. And when my dad died, I wanted to do something that could keep me close to him. He was, like I said, a basketball fan. He loved the Lakers and Magic and Showtime. And so I started playing out of a loss. and basketball ended up being the thing that kept me closer to him and just changed my life. Just gave me an amazing opportunity to travel the world, become a better woman, learn how to leverage relationships and build them. So, basketball was there. It was never about seeing anybody play, but just watching my dad enjoy the game.
Oh, man, that's amazing. And then I'm assuming Dad was tall because, you grew to 6'2".
Yeah, I'm 6'2". Dad was like 6'4". My mom's 5. She's about 5'5" now, but I think she used to be 5'7". So I ended up being 6'2".
Right. It takes some heels off. We shrink a little bit as we get older. I know.
Absolutely. So
That's
it was
good.
amazing. Love being tall. I'm excited about my height. Wish I had 2 more inches.
I know, ain't that right? I'm with you, exactly. So during the high school year, did you have the opportunity while you was playing basketball in high school? Did you guys get it? When did you know at that point that you were kind of like going to be pretty good in this particular sport? And did you guys win a state championship, district, do anything phenomenal?
When I started playing basketball, my only goal was to go to college for free.
Yes.
I didn't have any aspirations. I knew my father had passed away. My mom was now a single mother with me and my sister and my brother, taking care of us and trying to get life and get us what we needed. I was just trying to go to college. So basketball for me was just a way to a scholarship. I played the sports. I ended up being a number 2 recruit in the state. And, basketball taught me that I could control my own life because the more I worked, the better I got, which made me want to work even more, which helped me get even better. So that cycle I fell in love with, just understanding that I could have control of my greatness. And, it was just so I never thought about professional basketball. Never thought about it. Never thought about it because one, the W was not in existence yet.
Correct.
I ended up, I'd committed to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, backed out and ended up going to Furman because I wanted to stay close to home. But I never watched it on TV. I wasn't really aspiring to do that. But when I got a phone call my senior year, my coach called me in the office, was like, hey, this guy called. And they offered me an opportunity to come and go play in Spain. And I was like, what? You going to pay me to play the game that I love? And
right, let me get that paper. Right.
In a car. And, it was awesome. So no, I had no idea that life would look like that. And I'm so blessed to have been able to take advantage of it.
Man, that's incredible. I've been down in your back door a time or two, so as I was coaching at Fish, we used to come close. We used to go down to Sumter, way deep down in Voorhees,
Yeah.
Down in Voorhees and Allen and South Carolina State, Claflin.
Yeah,
the HBCU circuit. I did all of that, Morris, all that. And it was absolutely phenomenal. So to see you kind of excel past that, because I know everyone talks about Don Staley. We know South Carolina is the brand now, but South Carolina wasn't the brand back then. Mm-hmm. And so what made you choose Furman?
Just because, I committed to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and that was my dream school for the whole time that I was playing. But the closer it got time for me to go, I couldn't envision myself being so far away from home and not being able to get back to my mom and my brother and my sister because, we were poor. So I knew if I got out there, I wasn't going to have a car.
Right.
I had never even been on a plane. So there was no way I would be able to get back and forth to my family. So I looked over the fact that I had spent some time and looked at some other schools. And Greenville, South Carolina, Coach Sherry Carter, she made me feel like home. So when I went there to visit, my family enjoyed the campus. I looked at it. It was a small school. And again, I didn't have any aspirations for anything beyond playing college. So it didn't matter if I went to a big basketball school or not. I was just trying to get my education and I was going to get me a job. So Furman was the place for me.
Right. So, and I'm going to send a super plug out to Furman because, by the way, you don't know this, Rushia, but my kid here at Nashville, Tennessee, JP Pergias, Hillsborough High School, went down to Furman, stayed the last 3 years, and he is now transferred out, gone to Auburn. This NIL portal stuff is absolutely, I tell you what, if you and I had to pull an NIL, let me tell you.
Listen, too soon, born too soon. I need some reparations. I need some pay to come back to me.
They talking about reparations. I need to get it right now. We were talking about that undercover, behind the doors, good game, Rushia, handshake type money. Now you
not
just
at
put
Furman.
on a piece of paper.
I wasn't even getting that. So I was legit down there just getting my education.
Wow, just getting it. Now, more than that, speaking of legit, you know, you were down, you came out right around the time I did, 1994, you know, and which is crazy. Most kids at the time go to college and they end up on one side of the ball, either defensive or offensive. You end up going down to Furman and basically ended up on two sides of the ball. Field goal percentages, 980, leading the entire Furman that still hasn't been captured, and 193 blocks. So that means based on putting the ball in the hole, but you turn around and taking points off the boards. And then you had
the opportunity. Steals now. Give me my props on my
steals. I want to say 345 steals. You were playing them passer lanes like, hey, let me get that. Let me get that. and here's what people don't understand. If they do not understand who I'm speaking to tonight, and you are a Furman University grad, this young lady right now, over 30 years, still holds those records, and they still have not been broken. So the good thing about it is she mentioned to you North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and at that time, she'd have been 10 years on the backside of Michael Jordan coming out of Chapel Hill and decided to stay home at Furman. And I think it was a great deal because now you're in the history books and it's yet to be broken.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was just, you know, like in North Carolina, my friends, two of my really good friends, Sylvia Crawley and Charlotte Smith, you know, I went there and I was recruited and I had a great visit, and they won a championship one year during the time that I would have been at the school. So that would have given me an opportunity to be on that team. But Furman was exactly where I was supposed to be. So I honestly believe that, and all things happen for a reason.
Man, and we got some folks shouting out. Kevin Springer in the house. Shout out to Coach Tony. Shout out tonight to you, Rushia. Say, hey, thank you for being in the house. Appreciate you being on the Pull Up Podcast show. Now, this next guest I got right here, and Rushia, let me tell you something. I wish I could have got her down to your showcase yesterday. This young lady on right now, Juju. Young lady, I happened to meet on a AAU trip that I was on. In the A, by the way. Met her mom and dad on the elevator, talking to her. And she has stayed in touch with me, even took a trip as they were going from South Carolina, hometown, all the way to Knoxville, but by way of Nashville, came in and worked out with me. And she had told me, she said, Coach, I just can't focus when I get to the games. And I gave her some things to do, some things that she should do in terms of what we call pre-game prep. And once you get to that mental step, don't let nobody take you out of that. And that doesn't mean 30 minutes before the game. That means when you wake up out the bed, knowing you got a game that day, getting in focus mode. So I tried, and she called me back today and told me that what I told her worked, and she had leading scorer tonight of all things, Rushia, and they won the ball game.
Let's go, Juju. Good job, girl.
Let's go, Juju. And she told me, and then she texted me and says, I am going to go on to play college basketball. So this is a young lady that's in your back door. I'm gonna make sure that I keep her in touch with you. So as you're doing the things with you're doing with the AAU and other stuff, I'm gonna make sure I connect you with her so we can get her on her way.
Please do. That's awesome. And I love to hear it because so often our young people think that you just walk on the court and it's there. But correct. I shared with my daughter, and I'm still trying to train her. She's y'all killing me with these pictures. She's
the cut.
I had that asymmetric bob, baby. That was back when Salt and Pepper was in.
Yeah, that was back. Got the cut. Now got it all.
Yes, but like even with my 12-year-old daughter, she plays around, and then before the game, she's messing around. I was like, nah, you got to be locked in. You got to think about what your assignment is. You got to think about envision. Visualize what it is you want to do, because once you get on the court, your body needs to be in sync with your mind. And so I'm glad you were able to give her those tools, because that's really important. It's not just about stepping on the court. You got to be ready from the time you wake up that morning. And
the funny thing about that, Rushia, is what you just said is exactly what I told her. So I asked her a question the other day. I said, give me your entire routine on game day. I don't care about any of that. Just give me game day. So she said, I get up, coach, I eat some cereal, I do this and that, I lay around, I get to the school, I talk to the girls, I get on the bus and go to the game. I said, well, you messed up at 6 a.m. I said, you need to get up at 6 a.m. You got a game at 6 p.m. You need to get up at 6 a.m., get yourself going, call the coach mid-morning and ask coach, can you get in the gym and put up some shots? If you can't go put up no shots at the school, then find a YMCA or find a rec center. Make mom and dad take you, go put up some shots. Then you need to find your solitude. Sometimes your solitude could be a book. Sometimes it could be country music, gospel music, rap, hip hop, whatever it is. Find your solitude. Get to that solitude. Now, when you're on your way to the gym, lock in. And don't come out that lock until the buzzer go off. Then you're good to go.
Yeah.
And she did it, and what happened? She put up a dub.
Love it. I love that. That's such an amazing story. I'm so excited for her.
Yo, it's good. Well, we're going to take a break. We're going to be back here. We got some questions on the board already. I got my girl in the house, Coach Rushia Brown. This is the one and only Coach Tony, and this is the Pull Up Podcast Show. Val, let's go pay some bills. We'll be right back to the second quarter.
Are you a small business owner looking to grow? Introducing the Key Spot mobile app. I'm Cynthia McAllister, owner of the IT company Quality SAP. Since 2016, we have been supporting small businesses and help them promote and share their businesses, services, and events across the country. Key Spot is more than just an app. We are a network providing community. Key Spot, connecting communities and supporting small businesses.
Man, welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast Show. This is your boy, the one and only Coach Tony. Make sure you do a few things for me. Like the show, share it with family and friends, and do one more important thing, and that is hit the subscribe button. Tonight, we got my girl in the house, Coach Rushia Brown, checking in with us. We got LaTanya Luther. She said, mental preparation is the key to success for everything that you do, and that is correct. I don't care.
That's my little sister.
Oh, that little sister. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
She checking in with us tonight. So she said, what's up? So that's a good thing, you know. And it's so funny. So now you find yourself at Furman. You're doing your thing. You're getting ready to come out. You got this. And by the way, which I didn't mention to you guys, we talked about the field goals. We talked about the blocks. We talked about the steals. But what I didn't tell you, she also dropped 2,170 points in the career that still stands today. So, I mean, my girl's putting in work. So now you come out, the WNBA is not there just yet. And you got to class 94 and you get that phone call to head over to Europe. How was that?
You know, I was so overwhelmed because I had been looking for jobs, thinking about what I would do after I left. And it was the spring of 94. My coach was like, hey, somebody called up here. Be up here like 2:30. He's going to call back. And it was an agent talking about an opportunity to go over to Spain and play. And as he talked about it, like my first job in Europe was in the Canary Islands, which is a Spanish province, but off the coast of Africa. Beautiful island, amazing people, great food. And I got paid to go on vacation and play the game that I loved. Like I could not believe that was my life, traveling all over the world.
Like loving basketball, right?
It was exactly like loving basketball. It's so funny, that movie, two of the teams she played on are real teams, and I played on both of them. So that was my loving basketball minus the husband. I didn't get that part.
So that was fun. And so you're over there playing Spain, and then you end up playing there. And then how did you end up to get to France and get over to Italy?
So your contracts internationally are year to year. So I played that first year in the Canary Islands, then I went to Salamanca the following year, and a team, because we played and I was in the top league, we would play in the Euro League. So that meant you played against the other top teams in other countries. And so when I played in Spain and Salamanca, we played in the Ronchetti Cup, played against some French teams. So I bust their heads and they was like, okay, we want to sign her. So then they brought me on. So I ended up going to Aix-en-Provence. And then that was the year the WNBA was starting up after that year of Aix-en-Provence. So it was always a year to year. And all the teams that I played for were people that I beat the year before. So everybody signed me.
They like, let me get her. She killed us. Let me bring her over here. So she ain't gonna kill me the second time, but I'm gonna make sure she override with us this time.
That's exactly how it went. So it was a great
opportunity. You get an opportunity to learn not only one, not only two, but besides English, you get a chance to learn 3 languages.
Yes, absolutely, Tony. You did your research. So I learned, and a funny story about my Spanish, because I spoke Spanish before I went overseas. I'm a Southern girl, but I was born in the Bronx. And growing up, my babysitters were Puerto Ricans, so I spoke better Spanish than I did English. And my mom had to take me away from them because she couldn't understand me. So Spanish was always in me. So when we started in school, I would just automatically take Spanish because it was easy. And then when I got over there, I already knew the language. So Italian, picking up Italian and French, were a lot easier because I already had the verbiage from Spanish.
That's amazing. 125th and 5th here for mom get me back to Chicago. So get it, and you up in Spanish Harlem. So you know how that go, right? So, there you go. And man, you way back in the day. So that was that real, by the way, for those that don't know, that was that real hip hop, LL Cool J, Apollo Theater, all that going down, And of course, Chicago, as you see what I'm doing right now, represents Southside, always in the house. So it was so funny because looking at your background, looking at you getting the opportunity, you go to a mid-major program. And all these kids nowadays think that you got to be at, South Carolina, at University of Duke or anything of that nature. Right now, the way women's basketball and women's soccer, thanks to Dennis Rodman's daughter, is exploding, you don't need to do that at all. You just need to be in the moment, play, and you need to work on your game and show them who you are. When you were over in Europe playing, how many of those players you played against, Rushia, that actually got an opportunity to come back when the original WNBA draft jumped off in 97?
It was very few. And the crazy thing is, I was over there with Cynthia Cooper. Cooper playing over there in Italy. So there were a few, but only the stars. And that first year, Tony, there were 96 women in the entire world that played in the WNBA.
Now, did y'all hear that? I hope y'all just heard that. We didn't say like it is that. We said 96.
96 women in the entire.
So right now we're 320-something million people in the United States. We're talking about 96. That ain't even 1%. That may be like, we're talking about in the world. So
in the world, not just in the States, because it's open to international, and there were more international players at the beginning of the league than there are now due to conflicts and schedule. But 96, and a friend pointed out to me the other day, he was like, "You're one of 96. You need to make sure you highlight that." Yeah.
Hey, let me tell you something. I got a chance to talk to your girl on here about a month ago. Danielle Vigilone was part of that first draft coming in Seattle. And she talked about you and talked about everything. That is completely amazing. And Cooper Loop right there. Cooper's like what I tell people. Cooper's like Baby Jordan. She was like Jordan in the women's version.
She was amazing. And I played against her internationally first. And so it's so funny because she was like on the downside of her career. Imagine had she been able to play in the W when she was at her peak. She was unstoppable. She won like the first 3 MVPs or something crazy.
Yes. And they won they did like the Bulls. They won like 3 rings.
Yes. Amazing. I think it was 4. Was it 3 or 4?
I think it's 3 or 4 that they won in a row. And her and Swoops was like ridiculous.
Absolutely. She and Cheryl Swoops and Tina Thompson.
And Tina Thompson, Grandmama. Right. She was the original Grandmama before Grandmama came Grandmama. So
yeah, it was amazing.
I mean, that's amazing. So then you end up getting the call of a lifetime, coming home, and of all places, you go from South Kakalaka, now you got to shovel snow, like I did, and head north to Cleveland. How does that go?
You know what? The blessing was the WNBA's played in the summer. So I was playing overseas, and then I would only be in Cleveland for the summer. So I never spent a winter in Cleveland except for the one year when I tore my Achilles and I had to stay to do rehab. And even when I was there, I was like, if y'all want me to go somewhere, somebody's coming to get me and take it because I'm not driving in this. I know I can't drive in ice or snow. So what I'm going to do is to keep everybody safe. Y'all come get me, take me where I need to be, and it's all gravy.
And I see you got that tattoo, as they say, that Achilles or that knee. If you an athlete, you ain't had that Achilles or that knee, you ain't really played hard.
Listen, I'm around here now with an ice pack on because this knee is crazy. My Achilles, I was lucky. I didn't do a complete tear. I just had a partial. But I definitely was in the space where, the pain was there, walking around in that boot, having to do that rehab. It was
there you go. Hey, I was casted all the way from bottom of my knee all the way up. I ripped the AC and the MC.
Jeez.
So I knew. And it was just, and I was like, career over. And lucky the doctors that put me back together. I'm still playing with my basketball team today. So the only thing about it is, right now, Rushia, I ain't getting no rebound. I'm a shooter, but I ain't getting no boards.
Yeah, I ain't messing with y'all. I don't even play. I messed around this weekend, and my knees swollen up now from messing with those kids. So I'm talking and directing is what I do now.
Right, talking and directing. Mm-hmm. That's good. So here's the cool part about you get a chance to go to Cleveland at that time. You guys are coming in. The WNBA is putting everything together. Everything is like really excited. They're not sure the NBA is going to jump behind it. And you also come in the league with Michelle Edwards. You get a chance to come in with Janice Braxton and Eva Nakova, who was like one of the leading scorers of the team at that time. How was that opportunity? Because you stayed with them, I think, 6-7 years before you went to Charlotte?
I was in Cleveland for 6 years. And that first year, like my vets were Janice Lawrence Braxton, Michelle Edwards, Lynette Woodard. And, we were just all excited to be there and make Cleveland home. But we were having this supernatural experience because it was the first time. Everybody's all excited. And we were just really figuring it out as we went. So just the opportunity to grow and develop and do something once in a lifetime with these women was crazy. Even Nemkova and I had played against each other overseas. So for us to be able to come to the States and be on the same team and play together, I knew her style of play because I had to defend her a lot. So when we were playing together, I knew how to set her up for her shots. I knew how to post the way she liked to pass, all that stuff we already had because I'd studied her, so. And that's the key. And if Juju and all of them still on there and some of the, I got questions popping up. What Coach just said, I just told him, I came out of practice tonight. We got a big game tomorrow night. And I told the kids, go home, turn the internet on. Everyone's got social media now. Pull up the team we got to play and study. If you don't study your opponent, how are you going to beat them? You got to know what their tendencies are. Figure out. You got to know what they do. Yeah. You got to find out their weaknesses. You got to know if they're going to go right all the time and drop over their left shoulder. You got to know if they're going to hit you with a crossover, a pump fake, a jab step. You got to know that. But these kids, they don't want to do that right now, Coach. They want the easy route. They want to pull the three. They want the layup. They want the ooh and the ah without the hard work. There's no easy way, though. You can't cheat the hustle. You can't cheat the grind. So it's always my experience to let them know you can't cheat the game. The work that you put in is going to come out when you walk on the court. There you go. Coming through that time, who would you say was probably the toughest player that you had an opportunity to face at that time when the league started? I got to start with that trio in Houston, like Cheryl, Cynthia, and Tina. Yes. I had my best games playing against them because I did not want to be embarrassed. You want to play well against everybody, but they were so good. Right. That between them and Charlotte, I had my best games between Houston and Charlotte. So I was really always excited to see Tina across the court because I knew she could do everything. Tina's going to shoot the three. She can get to the basket. She's super strong and could post up. She had the mid-range. She could do everything. So you had to be ready. I'm telling you, for these young players that don't get it, when I say Baby Jordan, I'm not joking. Coop was like the Jordan of the women's basketball, could do this, that. It didn't matter. And she put Houston on her back, to get them rings was crazy. But if you had to go back and look in that book, open it up real slow, what would you think that would be your most memorable games you had while you was in the league? And, I won't even say playing wise, because I don't even remember how I did this night, but my first time playing in the Garden. Ooh, the Boston Garden on the parquet? No. Madison Square Garden. Ooh, you went to the Mecca. You went up on 42nd. Yeah, you went up. Run out on the court and to see Denzel and Queen Latifah and Penny Marshall and Henry Winkler, don't forget Spike Lee. Spike was there for sure. Yeah. And just to see all of these superstars that we saw watching the NBA, watching the men's game, they were there watching us. So I literally remember not being able to focus during warm-ups, oh my God, y'all see Denzel? We were pointing out the stars and I had to be oh, you got to get to work. So when we talk about that visualization, that was a time where I was pulled out of it because it was just so overwhelming to see all the superstars, and they were there to see us. So that was one of the moments that I remember that I'll never. That was one of my greatest moments.
That is funny. I don't know if you heard about this. So there was a joke going around that last year, Patrick Ewing showed up at a game, and he was dressed in street clothes, and a little Asian kid was at the gate, and the Asian kid asked him for his ID, and Patrick pointed up at the rafters and said, "Right there on my."
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Hey,
a lot of these kids don't know their history.
Don't know their history. They want to play the game, but don't know the game. And I tell my young players right now, and I go to AAU practice, I said the difference between you guys and what we did, I can go back to the 60s and talk about, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he was Lou Alcindor, talk about all those guys at that time. Bill Russell, I said, if I go past Kobe with you guys, y'all don't know who played the game, period. I got to explain some of the guys. So that's, and I hate that the game has changed that way. It's evolving, but it's a little bit different. So we're here on the Pull Up Podcast show. It is halftime. Coach's going to take her team in the locker room. I'm going to take my team because I'm definitely got to win this game. We're going to be back on the other side. Val, let's pay a few more bills. We'll be right back on the Pull Up Podcast show.
I've always thought about how my mom has supported me in any creative endeavor. How beautiful was it for your mom to be the superhero in your life and show up in your creative ventures with this book?
People ask her to sign the book more than they ask me to sign the book. Sometimes I step to the side, I take their picture. And, we have to celebrate our mothers. We got to celebrate our beginning. So she comes out with me. Every event, she is there. Even when I tell her she does not need to come, she will show up in the parking lot. And I'm like, oh, okay, you coming? Okay. I'm like, all right.
Right. And she got a bottle of wine in her hand.
What in the world? Why are you giving her alcohol?
No, I'm just saying. She showed up in the parking lot. She got a bottle of wine, nice wine. She's going to set it down. She ready for the show, Val. You know what I'm saying? Because the funny part about it is, CJ, I've actually talked to Val. I'll talk about, writing a book myself because my man's in there. But,
I love it.
And look at Val.
My man's in them.
My man's in there. But you got to read the book. You got to read the book. But it's a play. CJ, I apologize because Val should have dropped some old Dub C so you could have came out crip walking. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not flamed up right now. I got to hold on. Trying to get me shot.
Going back to school tomorrow, like, I saw you, Miss Charles. I saw you.
I mean, I can crip walk, so please, but I'm kind of, I'm authoring right now. You guys are funny.
And we come out this locker room for the halftime show coming in the second half. Welcome back with Coach Tony on the Pull Up Podcast show with my guest, Rushia Brown. Man, I love that commercial. You need to meet CJ. For your girls, she is hilarious. She is a young lady on the other side, Rushia, that has launched a African-American mini-series book with a black dog.
Oh, wow.
To talk about, she teaches education through a mini book series, and the books is 29, 30 pages. It is awesome. I need to get it to you so in your program to present it because she is awesome. And I love that commercial, but she stays close with us and does a lot of good things. So it's phenomenal. So I'll make sure I do that.
Gotcha.
When we sit up, we talk a little bit about, we always talk about the players and let them know the B game, C game, whatever it is, because the A game, the ball is going to stop bouncing. Absolutely. So after the ball stopped bouncing for you, let's talk a little bit about, the community initiatives that you came back home and got into. Especially one of them is the PAL League that you got. Talk a little bit about that.
So, when I retired, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But since I had spent 10 years of my life away from my family and friends, I vowed that I would only do the things that I loved. And so that meant I would work with kids and, empower young girls and train basketball, just doing all those things. I just had to figure out how to monetize it. But here about I started my relationship with PAL probably 10 years ago, but just 3 years ago, I was able to build a partnership with them where they could support one of my programs. So I do a lot of work in the community with young girls, supporting and building them leadership development and character empowerment through sport. That's so funny, that picture of Asia.
I know, right?
It's like basketball teaches you so much. And I just want these young ladies to understand that you play this game, but what you'll learn is that level of discipline, you use it in the boardroom.
Right.
That business acumen, coming to work and doing what you're supposed to do, that's going to take you far once you leave the court. So it's really important for them to take these things seriously. So I've just always been excited. And with PAL, they wanted to support young girls in sports. The National Police Athletic League is an organization where the police officers and everybody, they have these leagues in the various cities chapters, and they do a lot of things. But just like anything else, it's a lot of times a lot of boys. But the PAL organization, they are committed to young ladies as well. And so when I talked to them about my Play Like a Girl program, they were excited to get behind it. So we're embarking on our 3rd season of traveling. So in the summer times, my program, Play Like a Girl, goes into 8 cities, 8 WNBA cities. And we'll host a free basketball clinic run by WNBA players. We'll try and collaborate with the city, the team in the city, get the kids tickets. So not only will they have an access to us, but be able to go to a game and see it up close and personal, and just try and get that love in their heart so they can understand that, we've been there, we know what it looks like, and we'll share with them and talk to them about our different individual paths. And it's so funny because the thing that we look at as these kids are trying to envision what it looks like. And a lot of times, if you don't know somebody who's done it,
Correct.
You are creating a path and you don't even know what that should be. And so we want to get there and give them the guidelines and help them create their own path by letting them know what it looks like. So we have such an amazing time because every city I go into, it's a different group of women. So you can imagine it's 6 women that I hadn't seen in a while. So 1, we cutting up. 2, we having a great time playing basketball. 3, we're empowering the young ladies and talking to the parents about what it looks like to lead them and guide them. So we're super excited about what that looks like. Every city I go to, it's another group of women. So every year, moving into our 3rd year, I'm just even more excited because we're coming to Chicago. I told Val we'll be in Chicago this year. So
I gotta be on that one. When you go, you gotta be like Coach Tony, drop whatever. I gotta go to the crib. I gotta go home. I need to be a part of that one.
Yeah, look at Tammy Bagby. I'm sorry.
But
Tammy,
that's my girl. Here's what's so funny, Rushia. Here's how this small circle, because Tammy my girl too. So that is hilarious. Yeah, hey, Tammy is like, she's doubling up right now. Oh, Miss Cheney University,
Yes, absolutely. And I love to see my sisters get opportunities and shine and be able to do the thing because we all support one another. So we've had conversations about life paths and what we can do moving into the next phase. And so it's just really, I guess, a blessing. I can't even put as much into it and say how incredibly blessed I've been to meet the women and men that I've come across, but the people that want to continue to work and get better and make sure we're positively impacting the next generation of ballers.
Right. And I tell you, I'm going to send a big shout out to my girl who's going to be on the show next week. Said she talked to you right before you guys put together to Play Like a Girl. My girl, Shelly Rossi, sitting on the West Coast up at Sacramento town, Sacktown. She's crazy, by the way. I can't wait because she's a hoop. We were on the phone last night for about 45 minutes just cutting up. And she was like, as Rushia was getting to Play Like a Girl together, I was working with her on some things. And so that's really good because I'm all about celebrating the women who are in this space. Because what gets me upset, and you'll be mad about this. So we're at a game earlier this year, and I was sitting behind his brother, and high school game. And he was talking about, the girls are trying. And he was like, man, I can't wait to get this over so you can get the real game. I go, what you mean the real game? He was like, oh, man, ain't nobody watching no girls basketball. I said, yeah, that's you. Yeah, so your answer should have been, you don't understand girls basketball. And that these young girls out here performing the best of their ability. And I said, the crazy part about it is, if this boy game wasn't going on, I guarantee the girls still have a good crowd. And he couldn't say nothing. 3 or 4 people looked at me, and one lady says, "Thank you, Coach Tony, because that guy comes here every week with his child, waiting on the boys to play, but he always got something to say about the girls." I said, I just hate that, because right now, if you are a basketball fan and you're not up on women and the explosion of what's going on with soccer and basketball, you're not a basketball fan. I don't care what you say.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because honestly, we have the purest form of the game because we are not dunking all the time. Like,
exactly.
You literally got to be more creative on how you get open, more creative on how you get to the basket. Like the way you play in defense, it's about schemes, it's about plays.
Sure.
It's about teamwork. So the truest form of the game is the women's game. I love the men's game as well, because I love to see the athleticism, and you have some very creative people there too, but the women have no other choice. And just to see that creativity, and anybody, like you said, that's a real fan of the game, they love the women's game.
Exactly. They understand.
One thing I learned when I was working with the Aces and the Sparks is that we had a lot of people who had not seen the game, but once we got them in the building, they became real fans because they saw the work, they saw the passion, they saw the skill set of the women. So that was one of the things that just made a huge difference. Never once had we had somebody come to a game and be like, "Yeah, I don't like this."
Right. Not one time.
Like, "Yo, this is
they
crazy."
trying to figure out how to get back to the next game.
How they gonna get back? Yeah, calling me for tickets. Nope, go buy your tickets. First one is free. Now that I got you hooked, go pay for it.
Hey, it's like your boy Nod made you look, right?
Made you look. Yes, absolutely.
So, and it's funny that you say that, because my girl, Danielle Vigilante, so, LA Sparks assistant coach, I had her on about a little over a month and a half ago. And we were laughing and joking. I told her I had you coming up. I was trying to chase you down. God bless you on the surgeries and things you had to get through. And I'm so glad that all that was good. I was praying for you. But, it's so funny, because when you looking at all of this, Coach, now you get to excel in some spots that a lot of the guys don't get to. And now you get an opportunity to help out on the director side of the National Basketball Players Retirement Association. Tell us a little bit about that, because I see your boy Spencer Haywood's out there, Eddie Gill, Bob Elliott's around there with you, Nancy Lieberman. That's my girl. I love watching her, listening to her. And of all people, Tennessee's own Sean Marion. You better tell Sean he better call me, because I got to get him on here. Because I got people
from Tennessee. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's from Clarksville, like 40 minutes from Nashville.
Okay, no.
But you know how we do, Rushia. We'll move somewhere and rep that new city.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's the thing. Because I'm from Charleston. Here I am in Atlanta, and people think I'm from Atlanta, but I've been here so long.
And I'm sure he's from Clarksville. He rep Phoenix.
Yeah. That's definitely bring it up to him next time I talk to him, because we're on the board together, so we have these conversations. But it's a blessing to be a part of that as well, because the women of the WNBA haven't always had a space for the women to be supported in retirement and transition. And so initially, and I'll share this story. Initially, I was playing in a celebrity game in Texas with like Teaspoon, Kim Hampton, Lynette Woodard. We were all there, and it was a number of other women. And there was one of our sisters who, through conversation, we found out was homeless. She was literally bouncing from family members' couch to somebody else's house. And now this young lady had played in the league about 7 to 8 years. She was a 2-3-time WNBA All-Star. She played internationally, but people knew her to have like mental issues, but nobody ever, got her to what she needed to be. And then when she transitioned, she didn't have that support. Mm-hmm. Well, I went to the WNBA, and they, they're focused on the current players. So then I went to the Retired Players Association and be like, hey, what can we do? Because the women should have the same access, since, the WNBA is under the NBA. It was my thought that maybe the retired players could get the same access. But at that time, the board was not willing to allow the women to be a part of it. So I started my own organization, the Women's Professional Basketball Alumni Association. And I just used relationships and found sponsors to help assist the women in their transition to find jobs and higher education and financial literacy opportunities and mental wellness. and just to support us. But I kept knocking on that door. And so now it's like a full circle moment that now I'm on that board for the NBRPA, being able to have a seat at the table and make the changes and be able to allow the women to have access to some of these benefits. And this, this board that we're on now, like a completely different mindset. They understand the value of the women and how we bring so much to the table and the willingness to support us. So it's really amazing to be in that position now. Man,
that is absolutely awesome. I mean, if you guys can hear the nuggets and the fire and throwing the spear she's dropping, you ain't listening to this show. We're going to take our last break of the night. We got to pay some bills. Val, get these bill collectors out of my pocket, please. So we're going to take our last break. We're going to be right back here on the Pull Up Podcast Show with your guy, Coach Tony, and my guest, Coach Rushia Brown. We're right back. 2 seconds. Hey, it's your main man, right back at you, coming live here from the Rise Studios. And it's your guy talking about what? Pull Up Podcast Show. What is the Pull Up Podcast Show? It's a brand new podcast hitting your airways nationwide, talking everything on sports, from baseball, basketball, hockey, and then I tell you, we're going to have a lot of fun. So make sure, if you want your questions answered, you want to have fun talking a lot of sports, make sure you pull up on me, because it's the Pull Up Podcast Show.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up.
Also, for those that want to learn a little bit more about this right here, oh yeah. That right there, that's the Rise, NIL, talking name, image, and likeness. Those having opportunities to get paid, you want to tune in to it.
Sports show, let's go. It's the Pull Up Podcast show. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up.
Man, welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast. By the way, Rushia, my nephew dropped that track you just listening to.
Oh, really? I love that. Keep it in the family. Encourage them.
And he right up the street from you in Douglasville.
Oh, wow. Okay, I might have to holler at him.
Yeah, so he's doing his thing, and I love it. It's great. And little sis, by the way, said, thank you, persistence and passion. And I'm so proud of you, big sis. I love it when she checking in. But I got a question on the floor. My assistant coach who helps me with my AAU team, we're going to get to yours in a second. No, Coach Justin says, Coach Brown, do you feel like Caitlin Clark impacts the WNBA was justified based off her talent, or was it just simply because the WNBA hasn't had a woman like her in her perspective like this before?
You know what, Justin? I think Caitlin Clark was the perfect storm. Caitlin is extremely talented.
I said that.
Caitlin came at a time where social media, as well as, the TV pushing the games out, was at its peak. Caitlin Clark came and she did an amazing job. And I don't ever want to discredit her. But Kelsey Plum was Caitlin Clark first. Then you had Sabrina Ionescu. You had these women that were doing it, but it just was not the media coverage the way that Caitlin got it. And she happened to be, and then I think so many different pieces, like the whole thing with her and Angel Reese going back and forth. America loves a good guy, bad guy scenario. They love that friction between the two, just that whole thing that played out between them. So she was a perfect storm. Her talent for sure. But absolutely all the other pieces made it must-watch TV. Everybody wanted to see what was happening. That girl can shoot. You got to guard her when she come out the locker room.
Exactly. Steph Curry style.
Yes. And so it was funny to see how people would prepare for her, like what they would do. And she's so smart and such a great passer that even if she's not getting it, she's going to drop it off to somebody. All they had to do was finish. So it would be amazing to play with her because she sees things unfold and she can drop it off to you, anticipating what the defense is going to do. So she's fun to watch. She's much CTV.
And that person, as you're saying, is Aaliyah Boston. Because before she gets there, Aaliyah Boston is not doing what Aaliyah Boston is doing, right? We know that. And Aaliyah Boston will get frustrated because we're now possibly talking about trading. And now we're talking about Indiana is going to be in the mix this year because now Caitlin's got knocked around. She understands what the league was trying to do to her. You know, your girl, Shelly Ross, Shelly says, it's so nice to see you. She said, what's the one thing you believe that would be, she said, what's the one thing that you would love to see that the WNBA would like to change?
One thing I would like to see change in the WNBA. I think we're definitely doing some amazing things. I honestly believe that because of the world that we live in, there's so many sexes and races and people. I want the game to just be the game. And for people not to say, well, women do this or Black women do this or white women, just let it be about the game. You know, like we love the game, we play the game, and there's so many negative things that come out. Nobody cares about your sexuality. Who cares? Play the game. And I would love to see that happen. I know that's not something that we could change as a league. It's more so about the mindset of the people that are watching. But it's important for people to just pay homage to the women who've built the league, the women who are playing the league, and laying the groundwork for the young ladies that are coming behind us.
Yeah, I mean, and you couldn't have said it better. For those that listen, to Coach Justin Allen is my assistant coach on AAU. I'm constantly talking, constantly teaching him on the young side. Rushia, as we grew up, as we played, we didn't have the social media. We physically had to write a letter to get a coach to look at us. I'm in Chicago, New York at the time, coming through Alabama where my family was at. And, you know, you want the coach to come see you. Hopefully you got that letter, right? Hopefully the gatekeeper, the administrator passed the letter to the coach. And hopefully he wasn't busy that weekend and traveling someplace else. He could come see you. So to see the WNBA do what it did right now, and as Sally was just asking, it's amazing because a lot of people don't understand on this, Rushia. Caitlin Clark is a Steph Curry protege. Steph was flying her from Iowa out to train. And you look at this girl's handles. She's not only a shooter, but she put up a couple triple dubs this year.
Yes, she does it all. I've even watched her rebounds. She reads the court very well. And she'll get rebounds because nobody else is paying attention. She's right over there. So like I tell you, she's must-watch TV. She's incredible. She does so much for the game. And she's going to have other players stepping their game up too. Like there's so many amazing women in our league, but she definitely does something different. But again, a perfect storm with everything that's going on, with as talented as she is, all the hype in the media that has gone behind her, that has pushed her name and her brand. Amazing.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And speaking of amazing, you've done some incredible things on a global level in terms of leadership.
Oh my God, that's my daughter. That's Morgan.
I know that. Hey, you love Val. Val on my team. See, we go get them pictures like that. Talk a little bit about the showcase you had yesterday. Tell me a little bit of 125 people, which you wanted, but girl, you had the gym packed out.
165.
Oh, wait.
Right.
We gonna pause for a second. Val, if you got that queued up, let's play the clip real quick. What Rushia talking about yesterday when she had the camp. Let's drop that so everybody can understand what we're coming. Drop that for us, Val.
I am just sitting down and recapping my day. So 3 years ago, I embarked on a partnership with the National Police Athletic League to encourage young ladies to play basketball naturally, since I played in the WNBA and have a great alliance of young ladies and women that I've played with and against over the years. And but no, hopefully, I mean, I was so, even as I watched that, I'm just so appreciative of the opportunity and the resources that I get to leverage to help young girls figure out their love for the game if they have it. And so I hosted a Play Like a Girl with the Henry County Police Athletic League. And we had 165 young ladies, ages 7. We had a 6-year-old sneak in, 6 to 18.
Oh,
pull up.
hey,
And
I was trying to pull over my granddaughter. You know, if the weather wasn't bad, I mean, I'm telling you, I was on the road because, hey, I got my grandbaby's 7 years old. I already got it going already.
No, I love being in a space where I can help young ladies see what this game can do for them. And so often you hear the horror stories where the game has used the players, and I'm trying to teach them how to use the game to get your education,
There
to
you go.
help you learn how to network, to figure
There
out
you go.
ways to better your life and be in a situation where you can
There you
play
go.
at the next level, or even have those traits that'll help you be great in the boardroom. So it's all about learning, growing, developing, and doing amazing things. This game is, I'm so thankful that basketball came into my life.
And that's, you know, you and I are from the old cloth. And the old cloth used to say, you give to the game gives back.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's where the hard work you're talking about. So as you're talking globally in leadership, and you're going around speaking, what's your message?
You know, my message is always about the passion principles, how to be the exception and not the rule. And I just share with the young ladies and men, whoever I come across, just letting them know that you have these traits that will help you be successful in any situation. And so for me, passion is an acronym. Your P is your perseverance, understanding that times get hard, but you got to figure out how to push through. No matter what the obstacle, the challenge, or the setback, you've got to get back on track. Your A is your attitude. You got to figure out when you walk into a room, whether it's verbally or physically, people see you and judge you. So how do you carry yourself in a way that you want to invite people to you? Don't be the mean girl. Don't be the guy with the attitude. Don't be the arrogant. Be somebody who wants to serve and work. And people will want to serve and work with you too. So your S is sacrifice, knowing the difference between what I want to do and what I need to do. So often when we have a vision for ourselves, we come across opportunities, and you got to figure out what's best. Making those decisions. Is it going to pull me closer to what I say I want or further away? That's what your sacrifice is, giving up something in order to get something else. So then we have setting goals, making that list, short term, long term, and checking the list and moving forward. So you got to do it so you can know what you're working towards. And your I is your inner strength. I'm going to believe in me even when nobody else does. Picking up a ball in the 10th grade, trying out for the WNBA because I didn't get drafted. Nobody believed that I could do those things, but I never doubted. That way my confidence came from the work that I did. That's why I could believe in myself. And your O is optimism. Turning every negative situation into a positive, because life can't be about wins and losses. It's got to be wins and lessons. Either I win or I'm going to learn from a situation so I can be better prepared the next time. That's what your optimism is, having a positive mindset and getting something. And that last letter N is never giving up. The only time you fail is when you quit. And I just encourage these kids all the time. I don't care if you miss 60 shots. 61 is going down. That's got to be the
go.
You got to have that mindset. So always keep pushing.
I knew that N was never giving up. It's funny. I just came out of practice tonight, and I was so pissed at my girls. And I was talking to them about that. And I said, I don't care if you miss whatever you got going on. You can go 0 for 17. But if I call that set and that comes off of a double staggered and you come off the curl, pull a jumper, because you may go 1 for 19 and the one shot you make, it may be a game winner. You know, and you got to look at, and your girl Shelly says she just received a grant to host a skills clinics. That's because she's up in the Bay Area for both boys and girls, you know, and whatnot. And she wants to simply know, what must she do for holding these clinics that she can keep the focus and the fun versus winning?
So, and that's the thing I think about, the little things you got, and that, y'all killing me. Look at my baby. But Shelly, I think one of the things that's really important is having them have little games within the game. It's not always about winning. How do I get better at dribbling? I want to do a fun ball handling drill. I do stuff with my girls. I coach my daughter's middle school team, and we do stuff like dribble tag. They're having a good time.
I love that.
I watched a video with Minnesota. They were doing something, and they were playing not dribble tag, but it was something where the ball was on somebody's back, and when somebody moved, they had to chase them before they get out the 3-point line. It's about little wins, about little things where they're enjoying the game and not feeling so criticized when something doesn't go well. So it's really important for them to have fun and not have that pressure of well, if I miss or make or turn the ball over, next thing, move to the next thing. So just try not to focus on those negatives. And Shelly, I need to holler at you. I'm coming to the Bay for NBA All-Star, and I want to do a girls clinic. So I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna reach out to you.
And you need to get at me too, because I got my own school. Of course, obviously here, I shout out my school, St. Cecilia High School. I got my middle school. So let me know. I told you we're gonna bring it here to Nashville. So when you come to Nashville, I got you. So we can do the same thing.
I definitely want to do that.
Yeah, Coach Parker, what's up? I want to shout out to you. It's been great. And we're gonna leave you guys before we get out of here on one last message. Where is the women's sports going? Or where would you like to see it go? Because right now, we know the life in the men's house, right? We're looking at men's football, basketball, the NIL, the transfer portal. It's crazy. But here's what people don't get. It's not happening so much on women. The girls are happy where they're at. And I'm a huge Juju Watkins fan, right? And Coach Hamby done set her up. He got her rocking and rolling. But you got Juju Watkins, you got Kiki Reese that's going on. And my girl, unfortunately, my girl at UConn got hurt last night. I hated to see that. Down again. And Paige Beckham got hurt. Yeah, she hurt that knee again. She went for a loose ball, and the girl rolled on that knee. She just had surgery, so she's out again.
Man, I hope it's not serious.
Yeah, I hope it's not serious either, because this class is really doing some big things. So when you're looking at women's sports, the two questions I got you at the fork in the road. To the left, where do you think is going? And to the right, where do you see women's basketball over the next few years?
I think the trajectory is straight up. There's so much going on. We have all the corporations willing to invest the money. The WNBA is doing a great job of getting sponsors. This NIL, granted, it's not as crazy as the men, but people see the value in women's sports. You can look at the arenas and see how many people are in the stands. Like, people want to watch it. So now sponsors like, hey, I got to get my product in front of all these people. So that is really important. The second question, where do I think it's going? The same thing is going up. I think we'll look at the space where the women's salaries are going to continue to go up. As far as the WNBA, we're in the middle of the CBA negotiations, trying to get a greater percentage of that money, our revenue earning, trying to increase the shares. You see the women and their personal brands being taken more seriously. You look at Asia Wilson just did the Nike deal where she's the highest paid Nike. Like all this. Juju just got the huge Gatorade.
Yeah, she got Gatorade and State Farm deal. She was Jake from State Farm.
People are investing, and people want to see it. And I'm in a lot of sports chat groups, and these men are talking more about women's sports than they ever have been before. Because people are watching what's going on, and this is must-see TV. So I'm so excited to have been a part of it and just to see how it's grown and what's going on with these women. I love and support everything that's happening with the W, and will continue to do my work here in the grassroots.
Well, good. Before we get out of here, I want to tell you that I personally love you to death. I thank you very much. 15-year friendship, 15-year connection. And I want to personally give you my flowers, because without people like you, without Coop, without Swoops, without the people, without Tina Thompson, those guys in the earlier stage setting up these young women, basically 30 years later, 25 years later, rather, with the dub, they don't see what you guys put the hard sweat and tears through. And I think that another 20, 30, 40, 50 years is set to come because of people like you on the inside working very hard for them. If you had any last words to give these young girls, young women who are looking up to you, like my girl Juju, who is in middle school and watching the show tonight, what is the last word, and what can you give these girls in terms of hope and dream?
Tony, when the WNBA started, there were a lot of top coaches that were not interested in coaching because they didn't think the league would last. And here we are almost 30 years later. 30 years later, we're still here, we're growing, we're thriving, and people love it. So my last words would be to make sure that you believe in you, and it doesn't matter what everybody else says. Your confidence comes from your work. Do the work.
Do the work. Man, I may get that print on the back of my shirt. Do the work. That may be my tomorrow night. I got a big game, and I think my breakout gonna be 1, 2, 3. Do the work. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, Tony. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, let me tell you, I love it. Thank you. I know I had to chase you down, and you see, I wasn't gonna stop. I'm like, girl, you gotta get on here.
Perseverance.
I tell them all the time, it pays off. And this ain't the last time. I want you to come back when you got some big things. I want to make sure that you connect with me. I want to set Nashville up. I want to make sure, because we're in the, as they call Nashville, we're the new Chicago. So I want to make sure that these people that are here right above you get an opportunity, because basketball is live here in the state. And we're doing some big things. I had Coach Spencer Richardson, who are doing some big things over in suburb of Nashville with a lot of the women. Alicia Clark still in the WNBA with the Vegas, Aces. She's from Murfreesboro. So we got some big things that's coming up. And I need to make sure that I put a showcase on here in Nashville for these young girls and let them know we support them too. So you and I will be talking behind the scenes on that.
I love it. I'm here to support whatever you're doing, brother. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
Well, I appreciate you guys. And again, thank you for checking in. And exactly as you see, as we put up the Rise, NIL, if you would like to understand how that you can be a part of branding yourself and your brand with a lot of brands that's out there looking to pay you, then check into my sports marketing agency at the Rise NIL. That's www.therisenil.com. Tomorrow, and by the way, Rushia, we do a couple things here. Tomorrow, me and my girl Val, we do an entertainment and music show called Interludes Talk on Tuesday. And tomorrow night, we're going to talk about, of all things, the Oscars that just happened, So we got to talk a little bit about that. And then Val, she's done a unique thing as well. She had an opportunity, Rushia, to write a book. She was going through some things that she was going through a few years ago, pre-pandemic, and she talks a little bit about how being a DJ, a physical DJ, saved her life and then brought her into the world of podcasting. So, it's absolutely awesome. And Val has been with me doing some big things. So we're looking forward to that. And speaking of your girl, Shelly Rossi, because we'll be talking to her. That's my guest next week on the Pull Up Podcast show. So if you guys got an opportunity to talk tonight with my girl, Rushia, make sure you pull up next week when I got Shelly on the broadcast tomorrow next week. We're going to talk a little bit about what she sees from the NBA perspective and the women in that seat. So I appreciate you guys very much. So.
Tony, thanks again for the opportunity. I had a great conversation. Thank you so much for the light you are shining on our league and just all the amazing people in sports. So you keep doing you, and I'm here to support. So let's stay in touch.
Hey, all I need you to do is get me an WNBA franchise in Nashville.
Well, we're working on it. Nashville's a hot city.
It's coming, I tell you. Well, once again, Coach, I appreciate you. Love you very much. Thank you for your time tonight. And everybody, I appreciate you checking in on the show. This is the Pull Up Podcast show. It's your boy, Coach Tony, but you know my words. Peace.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. Bounce the voice and Coach Tony, it's the Pull Up Podcast show. I said bounce the voice and Coach Tony, it's the Pull Up Podcast show. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast.